The Fantastic Four is an animated television series produced by Hanna-Barbera that aired on the ABC network from 1967 to 1968. Prior to the Fantastic Four, teams of superheroes were generally comprised of previously successful characters who had banded together, such as the Challengers of the Unknown or the Justice League. However, this series revolves around all new characters who were more of a family than a convenient team-up between a group of already established characters. The members of the Fantastic Four included the group's intellectual leader, Reed Richards, who took the code name Mr. Fantastic; Susan Storm, who gave herself the designation the Invisible Girl; Johnny Storm, her little brother, who went by the alias of the Human Torch; and finally Benjamin J. Grimm, who was labeled The Thing because of his brute strength and monstrous appearance.
You remember the Fantastic Four?
Oh yeah, with that invisible bitch and flame on.
Thing. Motherfucker. Looks just like the Thing.
The Fantastic Four were created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in the year 1961 and first appeared in the pages of the Fantastic Four issue number 1. The tale of the team's origin reveals, after exposure to cosmic rays on an experimental spaceflight, the consequences of which result in the foursome's crash landing and discovering that they possess strange new abilities. Mr. Fantastic could stretch his body into any shape and size. The Invisible Girl could not only remain undetectable by the human eye, but could also project this trait onto other people or objects, as well as protect her fellow team members by use of invisible force fields. The Human Torch had the power to produce and project flames from his person, along with the ability of flight. Last, but certainly not least, the Thing possesses superhuman strength and rocky orange-colored skin, making him impervious to many elements that would harm an ordinary human being. This cosmic team of adventurers did not always follow the preconceived notions of superheroics in that they had public identities rather than secret ones, and being a family they would often have squabbles and disagreements while operating out of their household, the Baxter Building, located in New York City. By issue 3 of the Fantastic Four, the team would have the colorful costumes we have come to know today, as well as their means of transport, the Fantasticar. While the Fantasticar is probably the team's best-known means of transport, the animated series would feature the U-Car from Fantastic Four Annual 1, along with other rockets and jets as forms of transportation.
And now, my fantastic fools, I have prepared a few surprises for you.
The television series would also feature many of the classic foes that the Fantastic Four had faced over the years in their original comic stories by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Well, that suits me fine, because it's clobbering time!
A villain also introduced in the premiere issue of the Fantastic Four was the dwarfish Mole Man. The absolute ruler of Monster Island, the Mole Man, also known as Harvey Rupert Elder, commands his subjects, the Moloids, and a vast army of creatures of enormous size and power to attack the outside world. You might remember the Mole Man from his appearance in the Iron Man segment of the Marvel superheroes, as well as his following appearance in various Fantastic Four series over the years, and the Marvel Superhero Squad show.
Excuse me. As long as the cursed superhero squad is distracted, my true plan lies elsewhere.
When I'm on the surface, I'll tend to depressurize.
The alchemist Esteban Corazon Diablo dubs himself Diablo after he trades his soul to the demon Mephisto for an increased lifespan. Diablo would first appear within the Fantastic Four issue 30 in the year 1964. On the animated series, he could be seen manipulating the Thing into working for him with promises of restoring his human form. Diablo would also go on to appear in the series Fantastic Four, The World's Greatest Heroes.
At last, after 100 years, Diablo is free!
After 10,000 years, I'm free! Let's launch the game!
Kurgo and his robot servant from Planet X first appear inside the pages of Fantastic Four issue 7 in the year 1962. Although the episode that features Kurgo is adapted to the letter, it's pretty obvious that his robot manservant is just a poor man's version of Gort from the day the Earth stood still.
I am sorry, I'm not programmed to answer that question.
Also, while Prince Namor the Submariner never makes an appearance on this series due to his own series being produced by the folks over at Grand Trey Lawrence, both Dr. Gamma, the evil scientist turned into a Despero-looking undersea tyrant redubbed Gamma Ray, and Prince Triton of Pacifica, who fought against Warlord Attuma, who both serve as fill-ins for Namor the Submariner in the Fantastic Four stories adapted from the pages of issues number 4 and 33, respectively.
I have learned the danger here too late.
Super Skrull, true to his origins from the 1963 issue of Fantastic Four 18, is a foe who possesses the amalgamated powers of the entire team. The Thing's rocky strength, the flight and flame of the Torch, the invisibility of Sue Storm, and the dexterity of Mr. Fantastic are all at the Super Skrull's disposal. In the original comics, he also goes by the name Kl'rt and is a loyal servant of the Skrull Empire who plagued the Fantastic Four as far back as issue 2 in 1962. The Fantastic Four would face off against the Skrull Empire in the subsequent episode Behold a Distant Star, which was based on issue 37 of the world's greatest comics magazine. In fact, the shape-changing Skrull race can be seen as supporting characters everywhere in the Marvel Universe, from Silver Surfer to the X-Men. Super Skrull would go on to be featured in subsequent Fantastic Four television series, as well as on the Marvel Superhero Squad show.
Quiet, you miserable thing! Speak when you are spoken to!
Cows?
Ulysses Klaw, an immoral doctor who is transformed into pure sound, originally appears inside the pages of Fantastic Four issue 53 in the year 1966. The prosthetic sound emitter Klaw utilizes can create physical matter out of sonic waves to combat the Fantastic Four.
You must know resistance is useless!
Resistance is not futile.
You may have blinked and missed his later appearance along with Negative Zone resident Blastaar and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, but he could also be seen orchestrating mischief in a couple of the follow-up Fantastic Four series, as well as continuing his antics in Marvel's Superhero Squad show, and quite deadly in the agenda-ridden Black Panther miniseries.
By the hand of Klaw.
Even as far back as his first appearance, Klaw always possessed a bitter history with the Black Panther, having been the man who killed T'Challa's father, T'Chaka. Even as a young boy, T'Challa decapitates Klaw's right hand after Klaw takes his father's life, which is why Klaw uses his sonic prosthesis today. My first introduction to Klaw was actually in the great Marvel epic Secret Wars, where because of a battle where his sonic body was expelled into space, his intellect had been reduced to a childlike state. So, from my perspective, I found it amusing that the guy who plays patty cake with the lizard was actually such a nasty adversary for the currently overhyped King of Wakanda.
Cat! 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 What is this creature doing in here? Now, be a good kitty. Find a nice garbage can to sleep in!
My first exposure to Owen Reese, or the Molecule Man, would also come to pass when I read the Marvel Superhero Secret Wars series. Introduced within the pages of Fantastic Four issue number 20 in the year 1963, Reese, a laboratory technician, would receive the ability to manipulate all forms of matter at the molecular level due to a careless accident with a particle generator at his place of employ. Jim Shooter, who penned the Secret Wars series and its sequel, has explored the everyday man gaining omnipotence again and again, previous to Secret Wars in the Avengers Korvac saga, and following his departure as editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics with Solar, Man of the Atom, and Erica Pierce in the Valiant comic epic Unity.
Oh, Reed! This could be serious!
The Red Ghost, otherwise known as Ivan Kragoff, first appears within the pages of Fantastic Four issue 13 in the year 1963. Kragoff would duplicate the Fantastic Four's exposure to cosmic rays, so the commie-mad scientist could become intangible and invisible, hence the moniker of the Red Ghost. While most of the color scheme alterations on this series don't really bug me, I even think Diablo's color scheme in this TV series is an actual improvement over the one he has in the comics. Giving the Red Ghost a green jumpsuit when his politics are never even mentioned seems to be a severe oversight. I mean, in fact, the color alteration makes the character look more like the Mad Thinker than the Red Ghost to me.
What did you do? What are those things?
Kragoff's companions on this space flight were a trio of trained apes. Miklo, the gorilla, Igor, the baboon, and Pyotr, the orangutan. The cosmic rays turned the trio into super apes with additional intellect and powers. Miklo had super strength and durability, Igor could shapeshift at will, and Pyotr possessed power over magnetism.
Awesome. Suck it, Magneto.
Kragoff would also go on to be seen in the 90s Iron Man animated series.
No, kid. I'll try to remember that while I'm clobbering you.
Blastaar, the living bomb burst, first appears inside Fantastic Four issue 62 in the year 1967. A denizen of the Negative Zone, which is an antimatter universe discovered by Reed Richards himself, Blastaar would follow Reed and Johnny back to our own positive matter universe on Earth, attempting conquest and enslavement. Blastaar actually went on to become the king of the Negative Zone in the Annihilation series of comics, and in addition features in more than one of the ensuing Fantastic Four television series.
Where is he? Let me at him. I'll pulverize the bum.
The Pharaoh, Rama is a villain the Fantastic Four face when time traveling with Dr. Doom's time machine. Rama would first show up inside the pages of the Fantastic Four issue number 19 in 1963, but by Avengers 8 had adopted the persona of Kang the Conqueror. The Pharaoh's Sphinx was revealed to actually be a time ship itself, which indicates that Rama was merely an alias of Kang's as a time traveler. Immortus, a future incarnation of Kang, would appear at the close of the four-part X-Men saga Beyond Good and Evil. Kang himself has appeared on the series Avengers United They Stand, and his Rama alias would also be referenced as well while the Beast translates hieroglyphics in the two-part X-Men Evolution episode Dark Horizons.
This speaks of an age when the pharaoh Rama seemingly fell from the stars and brought with him some kind of, doesn't translate, technology, I think.
In the year 1963, Uatu, also known as the cosmic being called the Watcher, would first appear inside the pages of Fantastic Four issue number 13. Similar to his introduction in the original comics, the Watcher would be introduced on the television series when the Fantastic Four, desperate to replenish their depleting oxygen supply, discover the Watcher's laboratory on the blue area of Earth's moon, which has oxygen.
Well, I'll be hornswoggled.
Uatu's only appearance on television prior to this series was in the Incredible Hulk segment of the Marvel superheroes. The character is generally characterized by his ideology of non-interference. While at times this guy may be a really easy guy to make fun of,
Galactic historian The Watcher was arrested Wednesday after his eyes bit off a check his butt couldn't cash.
But I'm the Watcher. I was just watching.
You're a big-headed pervert!
you know, when the Watcher shows up in a Marvel Comics storyline,
you're gonna see some serious shit.
That brings us to the spacefaring Silver Surfer, who is the herald to the planet devourer Galactus. The Surfer, formerly Norrin Rad, astronomer of the planet Zenla, would make the bargain to search the spaceways to provide the World Eater sustenance as his herald in exchange for sparing his home planet. Thus was born the Silver Surfer, imbued with a power cosmic granted by his demigod master Galactus, who both are introduced within Fantastic Four issue 48 in the year 1966. The Silver Surfer has to be one of my favorite Marvel Comics characters of all time. Ironically, although I knew of the Fantastic Four as a child, I was only exposed to the TV series from 1978 and ended up discovering the Surfer in his third comic book volume around 1989. I bought issues 13 and 14 at a local Safeway, and from that point on I was hooked. Soon after, I discovered comic book specialty shops and would acquire the earlier issues of Volume 3 and learn to track down his early appearances in the Fantastic Four. So not only did I mistakenly scratch my head wondering what the heck happened to Herbie the Robot and who this flame guy was who replaced him, but also I never got to see this interpretation of the Galactus trilogy until my college years when the Boomerang channel would re-air these classic cartoons.
Rivetti, what's up?
I'm sorry, sir. It's just a difference of opinion that got out of hand.
What about? It's really too silly to talk about, so I'd rather just forget about it.
I don't give a damn about what you'd rather forget about. Why were you two fighting?
Well, I said that the Kirby Silver Surfer was the only real Silver Surfer, and that the Mobius Silver Surfer was shit. And Benefield's a big Mobius fan, and things got out of hand. I pushed him, he pushed me. I lost my head, sir. I'm sorry.
Rivetti, you're a supervisor. You can get a commission like that.
I know it, sir. You're 100% right. It's never happened again,
It better not happen again. I see this kind of nonsense, I'm gonna write you up. You understand? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You have to set an example, leaving in the face of stupidity. Now, everybody that reads comic books knows that Kirby Silver Surfer is the only true Silver Surfer. Now, am I right or wrong?
You're right, sir.
All right, get out of here.
Yes, sir.
The Surfer must have proved as popular with the powers that be as myself, because he would go on to have his own television cartoon, a featured role in the 20th Century Fox Fantastic Four sequel, The Rise of the Silver Surfer, and a lighter role as the Cosmic Dude in the Marvel Superhero Squad, along with Mr. Sulu providing vocals for Galactus himself.
Interesting. Let's discuss this after dinner.
Finally, we have Dr. Victor Von Doom, who without a doubt is one of the greatest villains ever created. Though I think sometimes his appearances on film and television often don't do the character justice. The arch nemesis of the Fantastic Four, Doom would appear on this series more than any other villain, challenging the Fantastic Four with schemes of cold revenge involving flying fortresses, time displacement, and micro-worlds. Doom's detailed backstory from the Fantastic Four Annual 2 would be laid out alongside the origin of the Fantastic Four in the episode The Way It All Began. Reed Richards reminisces of his days at Empire State University, where Ben Grimm was his college roommate and Victor Von Doom a student colleague. Doom's gypsy mother, who dabbled in occult practices, led to her soul being imprisoned by the demon lord Mephisto. Refusing to hear Reed's advice that his experiment at ESU to help free his mother's confined soul is flawed, Doom is driven to pursue the experiment to the bitter end, with an explosion as the final outcome, damaging Doom's face and proving the cursed Richards' original assessment was correct.
Expelling me? Get out of here. There's nothing more your stupid Skrull can teach me anyhow.
Doom's creator, Jack Kirby, saw the character's hubris as perfectionism, which is echoed by this sketch of what he felt Doom should look like under his mask, with just a slight scar on his right cheek. This concept would be later expanded upon in 1985 in John Byrne's run on the Fantastic Four, where despite the university accident leaving him with a minor scar, by placing the mask from his forged suit of armor on his face before the heat had cooled off, Doom is the one who is truly responsible for damaging his own face. Surprisingly, I would have to say my favorite interpretation of Doom on television would be from the 1981 Spider-Man animated series, where I suspect the character was riding high on the popularity of Darth Vader,
So, you have accepted the truth.
who by 1981 had returned the influential favor, so to speak.
Hey, the jackpot.
Wrong, web swinger. You're at the mercy of your deadliest enemy.
The only other occasion where I felt Doom was as epic as he should be was in the video game Marvel Ultimate Alliance. In my opinion, the animation of Hanna-Barbera is far superior to the Grant Trey Lawrence animation used on previous Marvel TV series. Alex Toth, who is best known for his design of the character Space Ghost, was responsible for the character designs on the Hanna-Barbera Fantastic Four. His designs are nice and solid representations of the core characters, and do not heavily deviate from Jack Kirby's original conception. The characters have influenced scores of imitators, both serious as well as comedic.
Nah, my way's safer.
Bad creature, no hurt boy. You got a son of a bitch!
Cody, let's stop this, boys. Wait! Who do you think? Hey!
That's it, guys. Tie him up good and tight. Well, are we ready, Think Tank?
Also, the majority of stories would successfully adapt material straight out of the original Lee Kirby run of the Fantastic Four, which has always been a selling point for comic book aficionados such as yours truly. Just look close enough at the small print on the title cards for each individual episode, and you'll see credit given to the specific comic book issue. If you love Marvel Comics and the Fantastic Four, you should definitely give this show a look.
On an outer space adventure, they were hit by cosmic rays, and the four would change forever, in the most fantastic ways. No need to fear, they're here. Powerful Four, do 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 do. Fantastic Four, do 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 do. That's ungrammatical. Reed Richards is elastic. Sue can fade from side. Johnny is the Human Torch. The Thing just loves to fight. Powerful Four, do 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 do. Fantastic Four, do 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 do. Fantastic Four,
Okay.
There's nothing more your stupid Skrull can teach me anyhow.